The Weddell Sea, Antarctica, 1915. A wooden ship groans under the crushing grip of pack ice, temperatures plummeting to -40 degrees Celsius. Winds howl like banshees, frostbite gnaws at exposed skin, and the polar night stretches endless, swallowing hope in darkness. For 10 agonizing months, 28 men are trapped in this frozen hell, their vessel doomed, no rescue in sight. Exposed to blizzards that could freeze a man solid in minutes, with no modern gear, no heaters, no escape. Yet every single one survives an ordeal that should have claimed them all. How did Ernest Shackleton and his crew defy the deadliest cold on Earth, turning catastrophe into one of history's greatest survival epics? I've spent countless hours diving into original diaries, expedition logs, photographs, and archaeological reports from the Endurance wreck, discovered just a few years ago in 2022, so you can absorb this mind-blowing story in the time it takes to watch a short video. Get ready. This will shatter everything you thought you knew about human limits in the face of killer cold. The answer lies not in brute strength or luck, but in revolutionary adaptations to cold that prioritized ingenuity, unity, and sheer willpower over comfort. Hollywood paints Antarctic explorers as heroic sufferers, but the reality? Shackleton's men engineered survival through calculated strategies that enabled them to endure months on drifting ice floes, open boats, and barren islands, conquering a continent's wrath without surrendering to it. Let's start with the evidence that rewrites the myth. The Endurance, a 350-ton Norwegian-built ship, was designed for polar extremes with triple-thick oak hulls and coal-fired engines. But when ice locked her in January 1915, the crew's logs, preserved in the Royal Geographical Society archives, reveal no panic. Instead, Shackleton ordered winter routines to conserve fuel and prepare for the long haul. Photographs by Frank Hurley, the expedition's official photographer, show the ship encased in ice but no signs of heating overkill. Why? Because in the Antarctic, unchecked fire risked melting ice underfoot or igniting the ship's tar-sealed decks. This wasn't ignorance, it was strategic restraint. Fast forward to October 1915. The ice crushes Endurance like a tin can, her timbers splintering in the cold. Diaries from Captain Frank Worsley and others describe abandoning ship, salvaging what they could, tents, sleeping bags, food stores, but leaving behind heavy heating stoves to lighten the load for survival marches. Recent sonar scans of the wreck, conducted by the Falklands Maritime Heritage Trust in 2022, confirm this. No elaborate heating artifacts scattered amid the debris, just the bare essentials for portable warmth. Shackleton's own account, South, details how they ditched non-vitals to focus on mobility in sub-zero temps. So if they couldn't rely on shipboard heat after the sinking, how did they battle the Antarctic's bone-chilling winds and perpetual freeze? The secret begins with clothing that was light years ahead of its time, textile engineering that turned bodies into fortresses against the cold. Archaeological finds from similar era expeditions, like Scott's 1910 to 1913 Terra Nova, mirror Shackleton's kit. Layered wool undergarments, camel hair suits, and revolutionary Burberry gabardine outerwear. These windproof, breathable jackets patented by Burberry repelled blizzards while wicking sweat, preventing the deadly wet cold that kills faster than dry freeze. Diaries note daily inspections, mittens lined with wolf fur, finnesko boots stuffed with cinnagrass for insulation, and balaclavas to shield faces. But the genius? Adaptability. When blizzards hit, men sewed extra seals into sleeves using sail needles, creating airtight barriers much like ancient Inuit techniques. This wasn't fashion. It was survival tech that maintained core body temps even at -50 C. Yet clothing alone couldn't fend off the night. Enter their most intimate innovation: sleeping systems that harnessed collective heat in ways that would make modern campers blush. Forget individual bags, Shackleton's men used reindeer hide sleeping bags, fur inward for insulation, shared in tents pitched on the ice. Worsley's logs describe hot bunking, rotating watches so one man warmed the bag for the next, keeping the space toasty at 10 to 15 degrees above ambient. On the drifting floe they called ocean camp, they built snow walls around tents to block katabatic winds, creating microclimates that trapped body heat from 28 men. Later, on Elephant Island in 1916, 22 men flipped 2 lifeboats upside down, sealing them with canvas and rocks to form the Snuggery, a cramped, blubber-lit hut where shared warmth and storytelling fought off hypothermia. But heat without fuel is futile, and in the Antarctic, calories are king. With no farms or stores, how did they sustain the 4,000 to 5,000 daily calories needed to stoke internal furnaces against the cold? Provisions were meticulously planned: pemmican, dried meat and fat, sledging biscuits, and cocoa for quick energy. But when stores dwindled, they turned hunter-gatherers. Diaries recount harvesting seals and penguins, boiled into hoosh, a nutrient-packed stew cooked over blubber stoves that provided both food and minimal heat. These portable stoves, fueled by seal fat, were a game-changer: smokeless, efficient, and safe on ice. Excavations at historic Antarctic sites, like those by the Antarctic Heritage Trust, reveal similar blubber lamps and pots, confirming this as standard polar tech. Even dogs were eventually eaten, their meat adding vital proteins, a grim but necessary choice, documented in Hurley's stark photos. Why reject more advanced heating like the enclosed stoves of contemporary Arctic explorers? The answer? Risk versus reward. Antarctic ice is unstable. Heavy gear could doom a march or boat launch. Mediterranean navies had galleys with vents, but in polar climes, they risked carbon monoxide or fire on wooden vessels. Shackleton's prior Nimrod expedition, 1907 to 1909, taught him this. Logs show he opted for lightweight, cold-adapted systems over bulky heaters. Northern Europeans, like Norwegian whalers, followed suit, prioritizing speed and safety in open seas. Could today's adventurers replicate this? Modern recreations prove yes. The 2013 Shackleton Epic expedition, using replica gear, retraced the James Caird boat journey and island trek, surviving -30°C with wool layers, blubber fuel, and team rotations. Documented by the BBC, it showed how shared sleeping and high-fat diets kept crews alive, echoing Shackleton's methods. But physical hacks needed mental armor. Evidence from crew artifacts, banjos, books, chess sets, found in camp remnants, revealed psychological warfare against despair. Meteorologist Leonard Hussey's banjo sessions, as noted in diaries, boosted morale during 24-hour darkness. Shackleton handpicked optimists, banning negativity. On Elephant Island, Deputy Frank Wild's daily "Roll up your bags, boys, the boss may come today" kept hope alive for 128 days. This psychological thermogenesis, as modern researchers call it, amplified endurance, mind over freezing matter. Shackleton conquered Antarctica's cold not by fighting it, but by embracing it through innovation. Diaries and wrecks prove they shunned excess heat for safety, thriving on advanced textiles that worked wet, communal warmth that compounded body heat, blubber-fueled provisions for sustained energy, and ironclad leadership that turned men into an unbreakable unit. They weren't victims of cold, they were its masters, balancing survival with strategy, not suffering. They crossed 800 miles of storm-tossed ocean in an open boat, trekked uncharted glaciers, and rescued every soul, reshaping exploration. When you crank up your thermostat or bundle in synthetics, remember Shackleton's crew chose calculated resilience over ease. They didn't just survive the cold, they redefined it, forging bonds and brilliance that made them immortal. In that frozen crucible, from dreamers to legends, they became unbreakable.